So here is my Avon 360 Seasport DL. It's the luxury tender range for Avon. They did make a Avon Seasport before this, which was a little bit similar configuration wise with the Avon Sea Rider, apart from it was white. But it had the side by side seats, and this is like a development from that. And this is a nice example of one actually. It had a 40 Honda 4-stroke on the back, which went nicely. It was in good condition. It was nice and clean inside and out. The hull had just been painted in a lovely white, Corsa white. It was actually a really nice boat. The seats had all been retrimmed. I can say this now because it was sold. It's not mine no more, but I've still got a lot of footage on it. And I'm going to try and make these videos a little bit more entertaining rather than just a compiled clips that make up about half an hour video of just going in a straight line and occasionally turning. So I'm going to do these reviewing videos, like what I've done on the Valiant 490. It seems to be one of the very few videos that I can just sit there and watch for the entire time. It's a shame I don't have a video of this boat going around it and talking about it, instead I've only got photos from when it was sold, but you can see it's such a nice boat from the inside, and it drove nice. We only used it once, but it was one of the, in fact it was the only Avon I had during my dad had some, but I haven't had an Avon before. And apart from a leaky valve which was soon replaced, it had no issues. When we bought it, it was in Leigh-on-Sea, just down by Southend way, the nice area of Southend. And it was just a deflated bag of air sitting in mud. It was sat in a marina, and it was essentially this man's car because he lived in his boat, quite a large boat. And it was. We bought it. We scraped all the barnacles off the hull, cleaned the tubes up as best as we could. There was a few tiny stains on it. The tubes looked used, but they didn't look in bad condition, especially for a boat of that age. It must have been around 20 years old. And the only thing I would say is that it wasn't nothing compared to the bigger rigs that we've had. When you compare it to a Valiant 340 that I made a video on, it destroyed it. It was so much of a nicer boat to drive and use. It wasn't as clean, it wasn't as nice of an actual physical boat, but when you drive it, it was nicer and it was faster and it moved better. But Valiant only had a 25 2-stroke Yamaha auto. Without this boat had power trim and electric start, which the Valiant didn't have. But this wasn't a stable boat compared to some of the others. My dad didn't, but I felt that when you went over a wave, it was rocky. And I don't know whether that's because I've drove a lot less boats than him, but I didn't find it as stable on the water. It turned nice, it handled well. It was a small boat to handle. It handled waves relatively okay for the size, but it wasn't as nice as the Valiant that I've just recently made a video on, the 490. But again, it's a much bigger boat. I mean, this was only 3.6 meters, so it was small. But yeah, no, I rated the Valiant 490. I rate every boat from now on out of 10. Looking at the Valiant, it was just so nice. I'm going to do this with jet skis as well, by the way, so I will be rating them with the same kind of rating. I rated the Valiant out of 10 by the 490, and a lot of it was the fact that it wasn't a 10 was a lot of it down to looks and the fact that it had a two-stroke on the back of it, which wasn't the boat's fault. It was more mine for buying it with a two-stroke on it. But I wanted to test it. I had a good 60 on it, right? And it went quick and everything. But I'm going to rate this Avon a 6 out of 10 because I don't like it as much as the Valiant. Although it was a nicer boat, the seats were perfect, the hull was perfect. It was it drove nice, it was fast. It wasn't as stable, and you couldn't have. Although we went on a fairly decent sized journey on it, we went all the way from Brightonsea to Mersey on it. You can't go on as long of a journey as the bigger boats. So although size will come into a play, 4 A little boat, it's a 6 out of 10 because I've had 2 very small rigs, and I'd say the Valiant was more sporty. It felt more sporty. I think the Avon could have dealt better with space, but that's partly down to configuration. Behind the seats that you sit on, there was actually a lot of room. There was a lot of space to store things. Had a really good working bilge. It had all switches that worked. It had interior lights. It was a nice boat. That's why it's a 6. It's not a 10 out of 10 because the tubes were worn. There's a little bit of glue marks around it, a little bit, and I'd be really picky. But it's not the perfect boat. The perfect boat would be a 10 out of 10, and this isn't the perfect boat, although it is very nice. But yeah, that's all I can say. A 6 out of 10 for the Avon 360DL, and I would recommend, for people that like to try different boats and not just have one boat for the entirety of their life, I'd recommend they try it, especially if you like rigs. Although a very common fault on this particular model is the valves leaking, I would try this boat out. I would buy one. I would buy another one. I would happily buy another one. They were very fun. Yeah, they were very fun. I liked it. I wish I tried it more. I wish I used it more. But I didn't. I've got enough footage to make a clip file on it, and yeah, I enjoyed it. There wasn't a lot of room to put A-frames on and extra modifications, but it was a nice boat for what it was and the size of it.